Welcome to the January 12th meeting of the Municipal Office Consolidation Subcommittee of the Land Use Working Group. I'm chairing this meeting. I'm Paul Bohm, and I'll call the roll right now. Tracy Morano,
Present. Tracy Morano, present.
uh, Mary Hartman,
Here.
Paul Bohm here. Okay, we're all here, and welcome to everybody else on the call. Um, First, we'll start with any public comment. As is the case, there'll be opportunity to chime in on various topics, but any comment before we start? Seeing none, I did not see any available meeting minutes. Did I miss those or?
No, I was away for the weekend, so I did not get to the
Okay,
meeting minutes, but I will do both of them. They're both on my to-do list for our next meeting.
okay, fine. So we'll table those meeting minutes, and I think there are two of them, and then there'll
There are
be
two
a.
of them. Yep. And Shannon had already sent me the December ones. I was definitely the clerk for December, so I'll do the December ones and then the ones from last week.
Okay, and who's doing minutes today?
Me. I am.
Okay,
I am Paul.
so the next meeting, whenever that is, and we'll talk about that later, we'll have 3 minutes. I have a number of things that I want to share. Do I have sharing rights? Let me see. Do
Yes.
I? Yes, I do. I'm going to share a number of things as we go through this. They correspond to the various agenda topics. I think where we are on our work is that let me just summarize, and Mary and Tracy chime in if I'm wrong. We we sort of know what our options are, and we've done the analysis in terms of data and the financial information, the modeling for those options. So at this point, we have a few things to do, focusing on drafting the report. Today, I just want to review where we are on the financial model, because that is an input to this big pro and cons matrix, which I think will be part of the report. And then we'll do some scoring, which is also related to all of that. A few other things on the agenda that we'll get to, but let me just start with sharing a starting piece of this, just to orient everybody. Are you seeing this?
No, not yet.
I think it's coming, but not yet.
Hmm.
Maybe you chose the wrong screen.
I chose the right screen, but it's
What are you trying to put up, Paul? Is it in the meeting packet?
there we go. I think we're screening now. Am I sharing now?
There you go.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. It isn't a meeting packet, but there's so many different pieces in there. I wanted to start. So, are you seeing this? The outflow, inflow, net information?
Yes.
Good.
Yep.
Okay, so just as a starting point, where we left off at the last meeting, we were talking about various pricing options, and the most important ones right now are the ones in yellow. This was extracted from Mary's model. I just cut and pasted these assumptions. So this is
Yep.
the assumption piece of that, and these are the numbers that Mary went forward and are using to create this matrix below. So the outflows and inflows in the net are based on these important data, which are basically cost to renovate or cost to build. So those assumptions, and there's been some questioning of what those assumptions are listed here. To renovate, we're using the average of 3 estimates that have been floated out there. And as you all know, these numbers are, um, there's uncertainty in these numbers that we'll talk about in a minute. The cost to build a new building is some information that both Russ and I shared with Mary as a general holding place for a new building, a 50,000 square foot building. and the cost to purchase and update the new municipal building. And that the big question on that was not the purchase price, but the renovation cost. So I think, Mary, you're carrying $400 a square foot for
Yep, for
that.
the entire building.
Right. Okay.
Yep.
So that leads to the matrix below, and I've identified. So there we have 5 options, but there's A and B, and the A and B is based on the zoning assumptions, right? So that's the other part of
That's
the
right.
assumptions that Mary put in here. If we reuse the land for housing, the different inflows are based on the zoning. The outflows are the same. The inflows are based on how many units of housing would be available and would be attractive to developers. So that's the assumptions are built into this matrix here. So I'm going to keep this available as I scroll up here, and I hope you can see this. Can you see the pros and cons matrix?
Yeah,
Yes.
Okay, great. So this I updated this matrix based on the information you just saw, the inflows and outflows and the net. So this should correspond to those numbers you just saw before. The important piece that I added onto this are on the cons part, the uncertainties and risks of these estimates for renovation and building. And I highlighted those. The asterisk is really uncertainties and risks associated with estimates of the cost to renovate and build. So I built that into the cons here of at least 3 of these options, if not 4 of them, and we should discuss the option 4. So these are the 5 options, and I wanted to spend a
Oh,
little time.
can
Go
I
ahead.
can I interrupt for a minute?
Yeah, yeah.
The net column here, the numbers that we're showing for consolidated and new building at Ripley, those numbers are different than the summary slide, so those need to be updated. It shows -5 and negative and +5, right? It should
Right.
be -13, -3.
Option 4A,
Yep,
you're right. -13 and -3. You
yeah,
are right.
yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Okay. So
Now they
now I
agree.
think, thank you for catching that.
Good catch.
So I think that the numbers are right here, and we haven't discussed in great detail yet the pros and cons, but I want to spend a little time in this call just making sure we captured most, if not all, of those pros and cons. You'll be aware that the benefits to consolidation are spelled out here, but they're shorthand in the rest of them. So the benefits of consolidation are the same. I don't know if you want to just look at this for a minute or you want to walk through this. What's your preference?
I think I think this is great. I mean, we've done this I think this might be our third pass through this. We've added things, we've refined some things. I
Okay.
think the only thing that I would add, and I don't feel strongly about this, but the build the new at Ripley shows no positive net, even if we make a zoning change. So, where it says less costly than the status quo, I think there's something we can say stronger, which is that it has no net gain. It provides no net gain.
That's not a pro though, right?
Well, yeah, where are we? Oh, you're saying less costly. Oh, the pro you're saying is less costly. Well, that's true, but yeah, then
Yeah,
under
I don't know if that's a strong pro. I mean, I just look at
yeah,
the
yeah,
net numbers up here, right?
yeah.
And I look at the net numbers down here, and it is less costly. So is that a pro? I'm
No, I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to spend a lot of time on it.
okay.
We can leave it.
You know what? I think
I
we
think we
can
just leave it.
yeah, we can table this
Leave it.
because this is going to be in the report.
Yep,
And so as we review the report, we can make those changes
yep,
as,
just
as
leave it.
well.
That's fine. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So let me stop sharing that one. So that's the pros and cons chart. That's number 4 on the agenda.
Paul, can I just ask,
Yeah.
um, do you feel, I've got some outstanding questions about the financial model, that I'd like to ask, and then I'd like to say, do we feel comfortable with the numbers that we have and can we go with them? Is this a good time to do that?
Well, it is because I showed the numbers and let's
Yeah, so the
you
numbers that I was hoping to get verified were the moving costs. And I know, Tracy, you said that you were going to try to get that.
Yep.
I've got moving costs. I did
I
some
have some for what
research.
it costs. Yeah. I have
Yeah,
some of what it costs Sanborn. I thought I had sent those ahead of time.
no, and then demolition costs. I think you were going to try to get demolition
No,
costs for
which I don't
Sanborn.
have those yet. I don't have those yet.
Okay, so I've got numbers. So if are we okay with going with the numbers I have?
But I thought that the demolition costs, as I learned from Russ and Ellen, that was included in the final costs. All the demolition
Yes.
cost was included
Okay,
in the cost per square foot.
I think there's two different kinds of demolition costs. One is demolition inside the building itself, and one is taking down the building. So their cost per square foot included the cost of demolition inside the building as you're making changes to the interior. But the cost of actually removing the building, which is what if we were going to build new at Peabody, for example, we have to demolish the building that's there. That it's my understanding that was not in the cost per square foot.
should we ask Russ or Alan to confirm that?
Yeah, Paul, Mary's right, and any work associated with remodel is included in the square foot cost in that range. If you're going to take a building down, I just looked it up yesterday or Friday, and $8 was the top, $5 to $8 a square foot to demo a building. And I didn't figure it out. I just looked up real quick on AI. Um, so it sounds about right. I know that I'm involved with a project of a former Catholic high school in Worcester to get demolished. And it was about $400,000 to demolish the building. It's about the same size as Peabody.
Okay, so we would need to, if we got the numbers for Sanborn, I think that would be another really good sanity check to the
Yeah,
numbers.
those should be listed out publicly. I mean, I could try, let me poke around their budget right now and see if I can find it.
Okay.
But those should be on there. Carrie might have those too, but I'll look.
I think the moving costs though and the fit up costs, so I've got three numbers that I'd like to get sanity checks for. The demolition costs for Peabody, the and Ripley, the cost for moving and the cost for fitting up a new building or a renovated building. The one I'm
So I
most
have the FF&E, so it was 169,000 for the moving costs to move Peabody and Sanborn into the new building. And then furniture was 44,000. That was for the main office.
just the main office.
Just the main office, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So the
Okay.
thing is like that all of the school furniture, none of that's going to be the same, but the main office furniture was 44,000, if that's helpful.
Okay, good. I'll work that into it. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so
But if you can get
yeah.
Sanborn, demolition for
Yes.
Sanborn, that would be really helpful.
Yeah, I like my recollection of the high school. I mean, I felt like it's similar to what Russ said. Obviously, there's been cost escalation. I thought it was like 250 for the high school, but I'll look around and see if I can find Sanborn. I
Paul,
So
should be able
that's
to do it while we're on the call.
Carrie's got her hand up.
I was just gonna mention, I have a wrap-up meeting with Gail Dowd tomorrow on the middle school project, and Tracy, I can ask her
Okay.
to pull that and get that to the group.
okay, so I'm looking at this chart, Mary. So these numbers are going to affect, well, the moving costs and the furnishing cost is going to affect everything here, right?
Except the
So,
status quo.
right, except this,
Yep,
so all the options, 2, 3, 4, 5.
yep.
The demolition costs are going to affect 3 and 4. Right, and the only thing that's
That's
going
right.
to affect number 5 are the moving costs and the FFE costs.
Yeah, and these aren't going to be big changes. So,
No, right.
I'm refining it, but they're not going to be material differences in how these numbers are stacking up.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be maybe a 600K swing. If you take Russ's number 400K for demolition, and then the two numbers that Tracy threw out add up to about 200K. So it'd probably be roughly, a
Well, I
600K.
have numbers in there for moving and that already. So, uh,
So you can
um,
replace those.
yeah, I
Okay.
might. I'll have to look at them. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else do we need, Mary, to
No, that's good. No, thank you.
okay. So I think we talked about this, and I'll mention it again. I don't think that any of the numbers, or I don't really think the uncertainty here, and there is uncertainty, especially in these big numbers right in front of you, these highlighted numbers. I don't think those are going to affect the order of options here. I don't think,
I
but
agree. I agree.
okay. So let me stop sharing with that. The other thing on the agenda is our little fun exercise of thinking about the scoring. And let me see what that is. Okay. So I put these two together. I have the same chart down here just so we can reference it. So this is something we have to do. We might as well take a little shot at least talking about these today. So the last meeting we talked about these categories. Financial benefits, we combine staff collaboration and staff satisfaction. Convenience for residents and sustainability, that seemed to cover the main categories. Mary, you proposed the weighting here. We didn't really, let's talk about, well, any comments on the criteria categories? Anything we're missing there?
I don't think so.
No.
So as far as the weighting, so it adds up to 100,
Yep.
but financial is greater than staff, is greater than convenience, is greater than sustainability. Probably the right order, but they feel right to me. Tracy, Mary, any sense whether those?
Well, again, these are the numbers that I put
No,
down
I
when
know,
so these feel pretty good to me.
but
Again, the whole purpose of this right now is to incorporate into our decision making other benefits besides just the financial benefits. So, I gave the
right.
financial benefits a weight of 45 and then staff collaboration 25, and you see the numbers. But I guess the only thing that I would be open to talking the changing would be to increase staff collaboration because I feel like that's really an important benefit. Staff collaboration and satisfaction, a really important benefit of this proposal that we're working on. What do you all think?
Well, my only thought is, I mean, the staff does collaborate. I don't want it to give the impression that the staff is not collaborating. The staff is clearly collaborating. Um, so I don't know if we give that more weight, it kind of makes us assume that the staff is not collaborating. But I do think I mean, for a town to run effectively, everyone has to collaborate.
Well, but to that point, Tracy, there'd be an increase in so our baseline is what we're doing right now, but the collaboration, which is there are a few things in there. There's collaboration, there's efficiency. I mean, maybe we got to add that word, there's,
Maybe efficiency is different than satisfaction.
yeah.
Could it be staff collaboration and efficiency?
I mean, you got to
Yeah.
remember, the staff is working across many, many buildings, right? So you not having the communication with each other, it does make working together more difficult, even if your intentions are the best. And just not having the information, not having the casual conversations in the hallway. I think those things all matter as far as people aligning what they're doing.
And I sort of group collaboration efficiency kind of together, which is different than satisfaction. But there may be too much in that category, but I'm not sure it's worth splitting out. But to your
Yeah,
point, Mary, I do think the weighting, I would give that maybe 5 more points and take it away from financial. I don't know if we had to move anything.
I'd take it away from convenience for residents. I'm not sure I
Yeah.
hear. I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, it depends on what buildings are together. I mean, the majority of residents don't visit any of the town buildings unless you're talking about the Council on Aging.
Oh, they go to the townhouse and they go to the assessor's office and they go to the
Uh,
planning to get building permits. So,
Well, I think some people do, but I mean, I'll just give you an anecdotal story that I literally said to someone who's been living here for 15 years, "Can you meet me at the townhouse?" And she said, "What's the townhouse?" I think a lot of people do all of their things online when you're talking about bills, and if you're not renovating, you're not using planning. I'm not sure that a lot of residents are using, I don't know, but we'd have to ask the staff that
okay,
question.
okay,
We'd have
yeah.
to ask the staff that question. I guess I'd like to hear from the staff about that collaboration piece. I still want to push back on that because I do think that there is collaboration happening, and I'd like to see some survey results. That's, as the staff saying, we really need to, sit next to each other. I don't know.
Tracy,
Yeah,
Paul,
Carrie,
I
Carrie's got.
mean,
You're in the best position
Yeah.
to opine on that one.
I wasn't sure if that was rhetorical for now or if you wanted some feedback. So
Yeah.
I would agree with Tracy that I think there's a lot of collaboration happening, but I think what is missing is, I think, Mary, you just said it, kind of this informal, you're going out to get a cup of coffee and you see somebody and you're building a relationship with them that is different than a relationship that you have through Zoom or through email. I mean, once a month we have an LMT meeting. So it's the senior managers and assistant managers and division managers coming together in a central location. And I was just telling the group this morning, I can feel the energy when I come up the stairs to the townhouse, that these are people who they work together, but they're not working together in person all of the time. And you just develop a different type of relationship. And I do think that's important. And I think if we can make that happen, that's great. And it doesn't mean that we don't run an efficient operation otherwise, but I think we add something to it if we can have people regularly together.
Okay,
Carrie,
now
Yeah,
I
I
feel
mean,
way
it-
better about that. I feel way better about that hearing from Carrie because it's just I feel like without input from people that are doing this daily, it's hard for us to make assumptions.
well, there's no doubt in another environment, there's no doubt that people who work in the same office, A, talk to each other more, B, run ideas off each other, figure better ways to work with each other. And I think that's a real plus. Whether that leads to, well, it automatically leads to efficiency in some ways. It may
Plus,
lead, so I think
and we
there's
did we did
going to be a
tour the
plus.
buildings. Remember, we toured the buildings and we talked with people. So we also have some, direct input from the people that work there. And so we've got that to go by as well.
And
Um,
I think the other question that was asked was kind of what's the foot traffic in
yeah,
our buildings.
yeah.
And I'm in the townhouse all the time. I'm not regularly in other buildings. I can tell you since COVID, the foot traffic really hasn't come back. We do have more people doing things remotely online. I and I don't think that's going to change. I think we're just going to see more and more of that.
So do you want to up this a bit and drop this a bit?
Yeah,
Yeah.
good. Okay. I think we should stop right now and realize that this is not really scientific. This is really just a quick gut feel exercise that we're doing here. It's not going to be precise.
Yes. Thank you for the obvious subjectivity of this. That's what this is.
It
And
is.
just why we're doing this in part is because our co-chairs and Judith in particular put this kind of matrix into the reporting. I think so. Everybody's going to be doing something like this kind of
Yeah.
score.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and I think that Sven's feedback last week was helpful when he said to do it weighted and unweighted.
Yeah.
So we would get raw scores too. So
Yes.
So
Yes,
that's
that was good.
I've set this up so these numbers add up both for weighted and unweighted. So what I've done here, I just Mary, you had given me a straw man. I could have
Mhm.
started this at 0, but I just
That's
I,
fine.
I kind of
Yep.
grease the pump here by
Yep.
filling in some numbers on the financial. And one question I have is, Mary, you had zeros for all of these,
That's right.
and I'm on a basis. If we're comparing everything to baseline, and the baseline is 0, then that's one way of looking at it. But I'm wondering if we should be actually scoring some of these because I think to Tracy's point, you can't say staff collaboration satisfaction is 0 here. And if this goes public, somebody's going to say,
No,
what
it's
do you mean
the
0?
question we're answering is how much does option one contribute to our our financial benefit, and how much does option one improve staff collaboration, efficiency, and satisfaction, and how much does option one improve convenience for residents? So it's
So
really
it is
just looking,
improvement. So it's a relative basis. Yeah.
yeah, it's just, well, you're just looking at one option and bouncing that against the criteria that we have established. So for us to say, for example, that doing no consolidation and selling Peabody, yeah, it has a little financial benefit. I'm okay with that. On a scale of 1 to 10, here's our scale. Our scale is 1 to 10. It has some financial benefit because we sell Peabody, right?
Right.
Does it have any benefit as far as improving the staff collaboration efficiency as fast as no, because we're not making any change. Does it have any impact on convenience for residents? No, because we're not changing anything. And does it have any benefit on sustainability? I would say no, because we're not changing anything. So this to me is a pretty straightforward
Right.
evaluation.
So I just want to define this. So this is basically change. This is a change made. It's not sort of, so we're not saying satisfaction is 0. This is just no benefit of doing this option.
No
Oh,
benefit. That's right. That's right.
yeah.
No incremental benefit.
Got it.
Exactly.
Okay. Just
Exactly.
want to make sure
Yes.
we're all on the same page with that. So you
Good.
don't mind a score of 1 up here because we'd be selling Peabody.
Yeah,
And
that's fine.
and again, this is on a relative basis because if 10 is our highest,
That's
um,
right.
then this is sort of 1. So do you you want to walk across these and just
Sure.
think about them a bit? So I gave a 10 to Muni because that was the one.
Paul, you froze. Did Paul just
froze. I
freeze?
think Paul just froze.
Paul, you froze for a minute. Are you back? Oh my gosh.
He's not back. So this is scaled 1 to 10 and not 1 to 5.
That's right.
I mean, that should be important to note there too. Just say, oh, it says right there. Sorry. I had to blow it up a little bit to see it. Paul's totally frozen.
I know.
Yes,
Yes.
you're back.
Good. You're back. Tracy
Nope,
Moreno's a
he
host now is what it
dropped
says.
off. Paul dropped off.
Oh.
I think he's got unstable internet.
And then I get a message that you're the co-host, Tracy.
Yes. Well, I think that you should be a co-host too. You're a
Yeah,
co-host too. Yeah.
I think almost everybody is. Well,
Yeah, because all the members and the town employees are co-hosts.
anyway, what it is 1 to 10,
Yeah.
and he gave the new Muni a 10,
Yeah.
and yeah, okay, he'll be back, I'm sure.
We'll give him another minute.
Mary, do you want me to try to share that document?
Sure.
Let's see.
But I think Paul was updating it, so you probably have the old document.
There he is. He's back. He's back,
Okay.
Carrie.
Hi, okay.
Hi.
Sorry, I don't know what happened there. Okay. So somebody has to make me share
Yeah,
worthy.
you were, yeah.
Okay, there it goes. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. Hopefully I'm good. Okay. Can you hear me? Am I okay?
We can hear you.
We
I can't
can,
see
but you
it.
know
There
what,
it is.
Paul?
We're
Yeah.
good. Okay, you were saying, Paul, that you gave a 10 to option 5, and that's when you froze.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe I'll freeze again.
Oh,
And the reason why the other numbers are positive is because if you look down below here so the only option 2 and 3 have some positive benefit
yep,
with B zoning. The
yep,
others are negative. So option 2 and 3 have some positivity to them, which is why I
yep.
scored them modestly. Ripley had
No
compared to
positive.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I don't know how do
I'd lower that because that was a number I think that I put in there before we redid the numbers for that option. So I would lower that to a 2. But
which one?
I'm looking at option 4 since it has no net positive.
Yeah.
But I think to me the other numbers look good.
Again, for now,
Again, Paul, can you just, walk me through your process, Paul, for assigning these scores? I mean, 10 would be perfect, ideal world. Is that what we're thinking 10 is?
I think 10 is the best. I think this is all relative. I
But
mean, if
it's
everything
just
were
financially the best.
yeah, the
Yeah.
best. I mean, so to your question, if the numbers instead of 5 million and 18 million were 10 million and 20 million, would that number be any higher? I think these are on a relative scale.
It is,
I think we have
yes.
to do this on a relative scale.
It's relative, yeah.
So on a relative basis, compared to option 1, we got 10 and then we have some benefits in between those. They're not zero. There's some debt benefit. It's totally subjective. If I had to talk about my process, it would have to go into deep in my brain and it would be very scary. So, if you have a better number, I'm open to it, but just seem on a relative.
I'm just trying to figure out if there's if just looking at the financials, like what makes it a 1, a 2, you've got a 4 and a 5. I don't know. Could something be a 7 versus a 5? Like, I don't know. Like, I'm just having a hard time with the
Well,
scaling.
yeah, I mean, it could be a 7 if it were across the board positive, these numbers,
Mhm.
but option 5 is across the board positive and will probably remain so. Um, the other ones are kind of mixed results, and it depends on zoning that we can't predict.
They're
So that's
mixed
why,
results and they're not very lucrative either. I mean, the for example, option 2, we have a possibility of having a $3.5 million positive gain after 10 years. But remember, there's a lot of risk in the numbers that we used to quantify the cost of renovating Peabody. So to me, that's maybe 3.5, which, isn't that big of a number, and it's very risky. So relative to the other options, on a scale of 1 to 10, I would think that would be, what did we give it? 4. That's pretty generous. So this is more like gut feel. There's no
Yeah,
really,
it,
there's no
it,
precision here. It's meant to be done very quickly, and it's really just a gut feel. So,
and it's going to help us with the rankings. When we make a recommendation, we're going to say these ranked on the basis of four major criteria that were weighted and unweighted. This is what our thinking was, and that's, I think, um, this is called expert opinion. Okay, which is no,
Yes, I'm not
it's
feeling like an
quote
expert
unquote
in this,
expert
but
opinion, which is partly based on data. That's what expert opinion is, whether it's this or an expert trial. It's based on data, but then gut feel and opinion. So
let's keep
well,
going.
let's try this. Let's try the second one. So the collaboration, efficiency, satisfaction. So
Yep.
I think there's no change, so it's 0. Um,
I think all the rest are tens, aren't they? I mean, all the rest enable um, co-location equally.
yeah, and my only argument for them not being 10 is
Yeah.
location. So
Oh, okay.
the yes, they get everybody together.
Yep.
And yes, they're kind of they're new digs for everybody, whether we build a new building or they renovate.
Yep.
Sure, there are limitations, but the only difference is that I think Ripley and Peabody, in my mind, are far from ideal locations, and the municipal building is whether it's, I mean, it's not ideal, but it's way better in terms of central. That
Okay,
would
I
be
see your point. I see your
no,
point. Yeah.
so, maybe these are 7, 7, 7, 10, or you know, let's assume this is the best because of the location. The other ones, we are improving collaboration. I mean, I don't know whether having a new municipal building in a central location would increase staff satisfaction or it wouldn't matter. But so what do you want to score these other ones?
I'd say 888 or 777. I'm not, again, this is not precise.
Okay, I'm good. Well, let's do 8s.
That's great. That's perfect right there. Good. Okay,
Is that okay,
convenience for
Tracy?
residents. Go ahead.
yeah,
What do you,
I don't love the 0. I don't, on option 1, I don't love the 0. I don't love giving something a 0 score.
well, but there's no change. So incrementally, there's no change. So there's no improvement because nothing changed
No, there's no improvement, but you can have a low score. You can have a score of 1, given there's no change. I don't know why it's a 0.
because there's no change.
But
If
the
you're not
financial
changing anything,
benefit,
then you're not changing anything. And that means no change. If you give it a 1, you're saying there's a little improvement. And yet, if you didn't make any change, how could you have a little improvement? But I don't care.
I disagree, but it's fine. Keep it at 0, but I disagree. I just see it differently.
I mean, we could give them all 1s just to say that, it exists. Um,
It lives.
but there's no change in sustainability. I don't think any of our buildings are rank anywhere in sustainability. So
No, I
No,
think new buildings will,
new buildings will. Yes, new
new
right?
buildings.
buildings will.
Yeah.
Well, let's
Do you
do
want to go
1.
to that row?
Let's do sustainability. Yeah. So
Okay. Okay.
new buildings would be, I mean, these would be 10, right? To
Yes.
be a net zero building.
No, because we talked the buy and renovate, those new buildings could be 10, yes. But the
Yes.
option 5 would not be a 10.
That's
It
right.
would not. It would be,
Pick a number. Well, I'm pretty sure it'd be more efficient than the buildings we have now. Some of the buildings we have now.
6.
I was gonna say 5.
How about 5.5?
That's gonna complicate it. I'm not married to 5 that much, but I just think that once you get into it, I mean, the cost of it to make it as sustainable as you're gonna want it to be. We've run into this at Ripley, trying to electrify Ripley.
What
Okay,
about
I'm okay
renovating?
with 6, so that's two
What
for
about
6.
renovating Peabody?
Renovating Peabody, what's it gonna do for sustainability? I don't,
You're gonna run into a lot of the same problems over at Peabody. So whatever you give the buy and renovate, you should also give it to renovate Peabody. So if it's 6, it should be 6 at Peabody too.
yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think because you're never going to get to a 10
Yeah, that's good.
with the renovation. So convenience for residents.
Okay,
Again, this is the only thing that differentiates this in my mind, assuming that residents would come to any of these buildings, is the location. That this
okay,
is a central location and these are not.
okay.
So it's sort of, again, it's sort of the 888 because it's, there's a
Yep,
consolidations benefit for that, and that would be a 10.
yeah, I agree. So we're saying that Peabody and Ripley have about the
Yep.
same benefits location-wise to our residents, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I wouldn't put them as high as an 8 because they're both on either section of town.
Okay,
They
so what
live on
number?
the
What
edge
do
of
you
town.
think?
I mean, I'd give them a 6.
Okay,
I don't know if I'd give them an 8. And in terms of convenience to residents, like from a location perspective, I mean, I'm still struggling with that, if our scoring range is 1 to 10, we cannot give something a 0.
okay, give it a 1.
But again, if you look at where residents are going out of all the municipal buildings, they're going to the townhouse, they're going to planning, or they're going to the assessors, which are all conveniently located in the center, or you're going to the Council on Aging. I'm not sure that residents are going any other place, and Carrie can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think those are about the only places residents are going to go.
So Paul, you want to put a 1 under sustainability for Cell Peabody? Option 1.
So, um, where does that increase come from?
Well,
Well,
we
again, it's not an increase, but your scoring range is 1 to
Yeah.
10. So how can you give anything a 0? Unless you change the scoring range from 0 to 10, which that's fine too, but you can't have the
Yeah,
range from 1 to 10 and then have a 0.
you're right. Absolutely. Um, so
so
we go
go
from a
ahead.
low and the way so I think Sven mentioned this as well.
Yep,
The unweighted and weighting is, they get the same order. The weighting just, I think, is important, but I think there's no um, fundamental change. There probably wouldn't be.
that's right.
So what we're
No,
saying here,
good.
in sort of the scoring is that option 5 is head and shoulders above anything else here. And that's largely due to the financial, which makes sense because that's the greatest weight. There's some influence of the other ones because of location. So look, I mean, the way I described the differences here and the 888 versus 10 was a location. And to some extent, I think the same for convenience. So I think that the financial aspects and the location are the drivers, more so than sustainability, right? Because they're more
Yeah.
sustainable, better sustainable options.
I think it helps right now to realize what we're going to use this for. At the end of the at the by the end of the month, we're going to have a recommendation for our top. We're going to make a recommendation as a subcommittee to here's our first preference, and here's maybe our second, third, fourth, and we'll rank these. And then we're going to have to go off and do more study as far
Yeah.
as, looking at the assumptions that I made in the model and, fine tuning those, and that might change things. So I think that might give us a better sense of what we're doing here and make us feel a little bit more relaxed as far as how these numbers are going to be used and how they don't. They're really, we're just looking for something directional at this point.
Yeah, and it is a ranking. And so interestingly, besides option 5, building new building at Peabody is better than building one at Ripley. And that's because of
It's because
financial,
you free up the land. You have the land at Ripley to build on. It's a lot more land,
a
and
lot
you
more
get
land, a lot more valuable land. That's
yes.
exactly right. Yeah, that's
That's
it.
yeah. That's why, because that's the benefit of Peabody, right?
Okay, do you want to we can come back to this. Does anybody other than the three of us have any kind of commentary or reactions to this? Okay, Carlin, hi. I asked.
You asked, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
One thought that I have, Carlin Reed, 83 Woodstead member of the Finance Committee, speaking on my own behalf, is that you're going to be presenting this information at some point at town meeting, and you're going to ask the voters to support setting aside money or to buying land or to selling land. And to say that it's more important to satisfy staff than to make it convenient for residents doesn't quite resonate for me. I think that's going to make it a little bit harder to sell. The financial benefits, yes, that makes sense. I think that should be the top qualification. But it's the taxpayers who are going to be paying for this project, not the staff members. I'd recommend that you make them equal weight, but it's your job and it's your committee, so I'll go with what you choose. Thanks. That's it. Bye.
Yeah, well, that's a really good point. I will make the other point is none of this is going to town meeting. We got a long way to go, especially in that financial and the financial justification is going to be important. But to your point, if we do come up with a matrix at the end, it's worthwhile kind of thinking about that. What, Mary and Tracy, what do you think? The reality, in just looking from the out looking in at the public use of this, I think these are probably right. From the public's point of view, these probably don't feel right.
Yeah, you're right. I don't think this is ever going to go to town meeting. We'll bring this up at the larger land use working group, and at at this point, all we're really trying to do is to get from a short list to a shorter list of possibilities that will be integrated with the larger land use working group. So, this is very preliminary work that we're
Yeah.
doing here that has to be vetted by many different people. So.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
and it's,
I do think that this is why Sven was talking about the unweighting, because then you can really just see what the score is and the score that you're assigning. Except I would say that the only weight I think that really matters is the financial part. I hate to say that. I don't mean to say it like that, but I
Mhm.
think that the town is in a position right now that the financial benefit has got to be the top priority.
Well, I want to bring up something. You remember when we very first started meeting with each other, I was headstrong about quantifying the benefit of better collaboration, not having to travel back and forth. And remember, I was thinking of
yeah, yeah,
quantifying
yeah.
that, and I finally gave up because it was just way too difficult. And yet, I think there is a financial benefit to having less travel time and to having people work closer to each other and to talk to each other in the lunchroom. Um, I wasn't able to quantify that, so that's not in my numbers. So it has a financial benefit, but I wasn't able to put with any confidence a number on it. So the whole that one of the reasons why we do this is to say, oh, there are some things that you could quantify, and you did, and that points you in one direction. Now let's think of an exercise we can do that brings in things we weren't able to assign a number to. And that's what we're doing here, just to make sure, are we still going in the same direction? And we are. So that's, I think that is the purpose of this particular exercise, to bring things we didn't quantify into the decision making process.
Yeah, it brings back to our needs assessment, right? Which is what you're saying. We started out saying, what do we need to do this?
Yeah.
It's more than financial. But Tracy, I think you're right. To your point, if you ask the public what's the most important thing for you, it would be the financial part of this, and the convenience for residents, it's there. The other thing in this second category, I think if there's consolidation 10 years from now, the staffing model in town, and I won't define that, but will be different in terms of what staff is supporting what groups and what kind of efficiencies we get in staff, and maybe even the size of staff. I think this will have a profound consolidation, will have a profound long-term impact on our staffing model. I believe that.
Yeah. I mean, we're already talking about shared services, and this will be a way to, I think, enable that
Yeah.
to happen. And that will
Well,
definitely be a
okay,
financial
well,
benefit.
I saved this, and again, we can come back to it, but I think this is good progress. This feels about right. We can tweak the heck out of these, but it's not going to change the ranking on here. The next thing on the agenda is the report. The two things left on the agenda, and we could flip this a little bit. The two things are our report, and then I amended the agenda based on our meeting on Friday, where we were talking about additional budget needs, Mary, and
Yeah.
you alluded to that here. What comes next, and what resources do we need to as part of the what comes next? So since we're talking about that, why don't we just flip the agenda a little bit, and so the what comes next. So we make a recommendation, phase one. What do we need to sharpen that information?
Mhm. Yep.
Well, just put it there. And some of the things that were discussed were everything from, okay, actual space planning. Okay, we got to take a look at these buildings and see, do they fit? And, so somebody's going to have to do some space planning, and then somebody's going to have to really do detailed renovation, detailed renovation analysis based on a real space plan. Not that we need X square feet for schools, but where are those schools? Not that we need a kitchen for council on aging, but where that's going to be. So I think there needs to be a space plan for at least the new Muni building, maybe our top two options, and I don't know whether it's one or two options. And the space planning, the detailed financial analysis of that renovation. And then the third one is back to the building costs, the new building costs, Mary, getting better information on that. So I think sharpening, there's a whole range of sharpening.
What were the three that you said, Paul? Repeat that, please. It was space planning, get
The
better
space,
cost
yeah,
estimates.
the detailed space planning, which is layout,
Yep. Yep. Good.
the actual renovation costs of, putting that plan, we have
Yep.
you actually have a blueprint of 3 floors of a building or 2 floors. And then, so those are the renovation or building costs. And then the new building information. Yeah, we're carrying some pretty big numbers, and maybe those are the best numbers we'll ever get. If we need a 50,000 square foot new building,
Hmm.
a net zero building, we'll probably have to define that a little bit more. What kind of building and what's in that building? Because right now there's no difference. So I
Hmm.
think this detailed analysis, what's in the guts of these buildings and how that affects renovation, how that affects new building costs. Those are the big things that we're going to need I think, outside help on.
What about at this stage getting public input, as far as, getting people's opinions about where they would like to see a consolidated building or what type of this is not my area of expertise, so we would definitely need help,
Yeah.
outside help to do this. Where do you
Yeah.
think, do you think this
Yeah.
is the right time for that?
I chatted a little bit with Carrie about that earlier. And so part of me says the earlier we bring in the public and get their views, the better. And part of me says until we have some detailed information, we're opening ourselves up for uncertainties. For example, I think the first question that's going to come out in public meeting is how much is it going to cost and how do you know those numbers are right? And until we feel and we can't come back and say, well, there's large uncertainties and risks until we have better information.
Mm-hmm.
Having a public, I mean, we'll be presenting somebody to the select board, so the public will know what our recommendations are. But I don't know. I can go both ways, but I feel there's more of a potential uh, confusion in going too early with to the public. Not that we want
Yeah.
to keep anything from the public. These are all public meetings, but there's a lot we don't know. I think
So,
we know
yeah.
what we don't know. There are a lot of known unknowns here. I don't think there's any, so we got to nail those.
And the public does not like the unknown. I mean, I don't even want to say the words, the amenities building, but when there was unknown and we were like, this is what it's about going to cost, the public did not like that. They wanted a plan. And unfortunately, plans and anything beyond what we're doing here is going to cost money. So after this process, so we're going to write the report, make a recommendation to the select board. And then what is the select board going to do after that? Make the decision?
No,
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 no.
no.
So this committee is to make a recommendation to the select board. And then what
Yes.
happens?
And then what Judith brought up the other day is to put together a building committee, which
Yeah.
would get together do the public feedback portion of it with really good data behind us, so that when we go, we know how much the options are going to cost with some degree of confidence. But I think Paul, I mean, I think this is a really good conversation, and maybe we just put down what we think we need to get to make our recommendations, again, have a high degree of confidence. And then the land use working group, the larger group, will figure out how to pull that all together and make the recommendation to the select board.
Yeah, I don't feel comfortable putting a budget number on, and this would be an outside consultant to kind of answer some of these
Yes,
questions, right? So
right.
I'm not, I think we can just lay out what we need.
So we're saying space planning, cost to renovate, cost to build new, net zero. Is
Yeah, it's
that
based on the space planning, because that comes
based on the
first,
space planning? Exactly. So those
we
are
have a lot of
sequential,
important
right?
things, and Megan knows I sent her the space matrix, but it's really buckets of space. We got a bucket of office space. Okay, what's in
Yeah,
there? Conference
yeah,
rooms. There's a
right.
lot in the
A
150
big
square feet.
kitchen and a
Yeah,
lot of, yeah,
kitchenettes.
a,
And what's
a
in the program
playground.
space?
Yeah,
Classrooms, there's buckets
playground.
of stuff. And
Yeah.
you have to look at the buildings and say what goes where.
Okay,
So we need.
that's good.
Okay,
That's helpful.
so the last item here is the report. And you have given me the license to come up with an outline. I think it's coming up. Something's coming up. No, wrong thing's coming up. Let me get rid of that. Let me get rid of some of this stuff.
Paul, there were a couple things in the chat from Lee Jackson. I just didn't know if you saw that.
Oh, I did not see that. Um, uh, Where's the new Muni location?
That's confidential.
Yeah, Lee, we've been talking about that. I don't think it's a, I don't think it's a well-kept secret, but we've been talking about that in executive sessions because there's negotiations and there's land purchase involved in that. But I will say it's a more central. If you look at West Concord and Concord Center, it's more central to those two demographies. Can we say more, Mary? I don't think we can say more.
No,
No.
Okay, so this is based on Judith's outline for the public safety group. I just changed some of the headings and thought about the relevance here. So just the major sections, let me just go through those. There's an executive summary. There's an introduction, which is the scope, the methodology, the data sources, which I think is really important, where we got the information from. There's the current roles. What were the missions and functions, the various functions of the different entities? And now we're talking about municipal and school offices here. This is sort of the current reality. Where are these buildings and what do they serve?
hmm
There's an existing conditions assessment, which the best we have is from the 2020 report. So I view this as kind of excerpts of that information from the 2020 report, unless it's something
What
in a
about the
narrative
Gorman,
basis.
what about the Gorman Lewis? I never get their names complete.
Yep. From Ripley.
Oh, the
Good
Gorman,
Ripley.
yeah. Plus, yeah, the Gorman Richards, is it?
Gorham Richards.
Gorham, or something. Well, anyway,
Gorham. I don't know. We all get it wrong.
We all get it wrong. It's good. Starts with Gorham.
Does,
well, and there's also the I guess the Peabody Sanborn,
Yeah, that 2017 report. Yep.
which is that it's good for Peabody to some extent. And then so generally, what would be needed to maintain existing facilities? I didn't see this in this part of the report as a financial assessment. Anyway, so existing conditions and what's in there, these are just some bullets I thought of. So that's the existing conditions. So what do we need in the future? What's the future need assessment? And this would be so the space table, that the general space table, which is what we have right now, would be in here. And this is just generally what we need in the future in terms of space. It talks about expansion, but so that's the section, future needs. There'd be a section I call peer benchmarking and best practices. I think there'd be a short section what other towns have done in terms of municipal consolidation and how they've done that. And there are examples of that. And then the guts of this would be the options analysis,
Mhm.
which would include the pro and cons table. This is
Exactly. Yeah.
a
Yep.
narrative description of the options.
Paul,
How we
that pro con table, I think that is the best summary of the work, the results of the work that we've done. And
yeah, and
you
that would
know,
also it would go.
yeah, I think it might go sooner in the report, but we
Well,
can
it goes
order
in the
things.
executive summary. I think
It
that
is okay. Okay,
remember
good.
the executive summary is a thing that somebody's going to read, and assuming that nobody reads the main report. Although at the meeting on Friday, I confirmed that Judith and Sven are looking not for a tremendous amount of narrative. They were pretty happy about these sections being bullets at this point.
That's right.
So that limits it. So it's easier writing if we just kind of do the bullets.
Good.
The options analysis, section 7, and then the evaluation criteria, which it could come before this because we have a pro and cons. Oh, no, I'm sorry. The pro and cons is exactly that, but this is sort of our scoring matrix in here, Mary.
Okay.
Talking about
Okay.
how we've looked at all of our the criteria based on the needs assessment.
Yep.
The trade-offs and uncertainties, I think, goes hand in hand after after the scoring matrix, and then the final recommendations, which is just a summary. The next steps, which we've been talking about here.
Yep.
So what
That's easy.
happens next?
Yep.
Um, and then I don't know what would be in an appendix. Maybe we have copies of the models of the data, that crazy data matrix that we used to look at. So let me just walk through this again very quickly. And so I made these assignments, but everything's tradable. Doesn't matter. So I was going to do
And
the
you want bullets versus narrative.
Mhm.
Yes. The
Okay.
executive summary may be, would need some narrative, but because it's going to be 1 to 2 pages, this is something we want everybody to read. So that would have to be sort of really a summary. The rest of it would be, so there'd be introduction. I had Mary for that. The
I'm
next
fine.
two sections are sort of current, well, 3 sections, current, the current roles, existing conditions, and the future needs seem to be a coherent threesome here. That's why I put your name next to it, Tracy. The peer benchmarking, I have some information on it. I would do that. It's pretty short. The options, I would do, Mary, you do the evaluation criteria and the trade-offs. So I think each of us has 3 pieces here. Are they equal degree of difficulty? I don't know. So anyway, so the outline itself, does the outline look okay?
I think so.
And we can work with Judith and Sven if we need additional information or guidance on any of it.
Yeah.
Well, no, I think
Well, if there's
I don't know.
something that's not clearly in here. And I would assume, Tracy, that the part of this would be another conversation with Russ
Mhm.
about, about existing facilities, because
Yeah.
we spent a lot of time thinking about existing facilities and costs and what's in there and maintaining versus, getting rid of them.
I mean, it just seems to me, and Russ, you can, jump in and correct me if I'm wrong, but even the conditions of the existing facilities, I mean, that could be lengthy. I don't know how much detail you want in that.
Yeah, that's up to you guys. You can model it on the summaries from the 2017 report on Sanborn and Peabody. They have summaries on the existing conditions that highlight pieces. Maybe that's a good guide for you.
Okay.
And again, we don't know anything about 150, but we can assume certain things.
Yeah, Tracy, I think most of 4 is written already.
Yeah.
It's
And
just
so it's just
excerpt.
pulling it out building by building.
Yeah, and a bullet can be a paragraph. I mean, that doesn't have to be 1 line. Just drop it into bullets.
Okay.
I think as a draft, that'd be fine. And then we could just ask ChatGPT, make a beautiful document out of all these bullets. Seriously,
Yes.
Ever do
Oh,
that?
I'm serious about that, Paul.
Yeah.
How I'd like to do my
So I
minutes.
think, yeah. So if we start with bullets, I think we can have lots of artificial and real writing help. So.
Yep.
So I guess if we're all okay with this, the only question is timing. Mary, when Sven and Judith are trying to put this report together and get it before the select board in early February?
Well, they wanted to have this done by the end of January, actually. Remember, we'll be talking tonight at the select board meeting about the timeline for the funds we have available for MCI, which is really putting pressure on us to get the recommendations from the subcommittees, right? So late January, I think, is what we're still shooting for. And then in February, they were talking about how that's when we would share, each subcommittee would share with the other subcommittees their reports. But we don't have, so end of January, I think, is still but we don't have a next meeting date for the larger group that I'm aware of.
Well, we don't have a next meeting date for us either.
Right.
But independent meeting dates, so it's January 12th. I'm on vacation the last 2 weeks in January, but y'all can do some writing on that. But the three of us would need to get, well, so here's the issue with open meeting law. I think one of us, preferably somebody who's not on vacation, should probably get all these pieces and to form the next draft. I think we can't, strictly speaking, I've been through this before. We shouldn't exchange these.
No, we should send them all to Shannon.
Not to Shannon, but then
and
one of
then-
us is going to have to kind of mush it together into a report.
Exactly. So maybe the best thing to do is to establish a deadline when we would get our pieces to Shannon. And then
Okay.
somebody smushes it. You're right.
So it's the 12th. 2 weeks, the 30th is less than 2 weeks from now. Oh, I'm sorry, it's 2.5 weeks from now.
I think that's a good day.
Yeah, I don't think we can do it much quicker than that,
Yeah.
to get our pieces into Shannon.
How long do you think it's going to take to pull it all together so that it looks like one document? How
Couple of
long
days.
does that take, Paul, in your experience?
It's a couple of days. I mean, I think this is not going to be hard because there's not a lot of style involved. We all have bullets and turning that into text,
So is it
assume that-
reasonable to assume that if we all got our pieces to Shannon by the 30th, she pulled them all together and sent them to somebody who knows how to do this to write a report, they could have that done by the end of that week?
the end of the 6th, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's no problem. If the pieces are together in the 30th, this is not a long report. If you add up the pages, it's 20-page report, maybe?
At max,
With
really.
with tables, and so I don't think it's a long report. So I think
Well,
if we aim for the 30th and getting stuff to Shannon, and then we can figure out between now and then how we're going to smush it. Is that the right word?
Yeah,
Um,
that's a good word.
yeah. And
Shape
then,
it.
I think we can get something to Sven and Judith by the 6th, and
Great.
um,
I think that's great.
and I'm going to stick my neck out here, but I think the other two groups are behind us on this. So
And Sven and Judith, I was not at the meeting on Friday, at a conflict. They didn't give us a deadline on Friday.
No, they did. I mean, we're still shooting for end of January. But there was no deadline because when we tried to make our next meeting, we're going to a conference, the MMA conference, Paul's on vacation. So we never got a final date for that meeting. But
Okay.
yeah, I mean, I think
no,
we're
they
talking
didn't give us a
generally.
date.
And also, in the context of the larger planning, which includes MCI, I think the discussion at the select board, if I remember, Mary, has been that the entire group, the whole land use planning group would have their recommendations by the end of January. So we're close to that. I think we're all shooting for that.
Yeah. I think yeah. So I think if we've got something by February 6th to hand off, I think that's perfectly wonderful. So
And Paul, you're out of town that first week of February?
No, I'm back to first week in February,
Okay.
but starting Saturday, I'll be somewhere else.
Okay.
Like the virtual
somewhere
thing
else,
behind
as
me.
they say. Okay, good. I'm okay with that. Are you okay with that, Tracy? Taking the parts that we've been, each been assigned
Yes.
and having them to
Yes,
Shannon
so
by
we
the
really,
30th?
yeah,
Great,
by the 30th.
great.
I mean, is it going to be tight for me? I'll be honest. Yes, it is. We have a long weekend and I have some travel myself, so it's okay. We'll get it
Great.
done.
And then if I don't get these other costs by, oh, I don't know, I'm still waiting for, especially the demolition cost. If I don't get good costs for that, then I'll go with what I've got. Because I've got to put this together by, I've got to have that nailed down so that I can write it up. So I need those costs by the end of the week if possible. Or I'll go with what I've already got and then I'll, use those numbers to actually build the rest of the report around it.
I'd like to mention one other thing with both Carrie and Lee Jackson on the line. So in our space, so the space inventory, which includes offices and program spaces, I never got really hard numbers from, I guess, the Harvey Wheeler complex, which includes Council on Aging and Carousel. And what I did is I just took that whole square footage and doubled it. Okay. So what's in the space plan, I mean, by plan meaning the gross square footage is a doubling of the current Harvey Wheeler, the total Carousel and Council on Aging. If there's any better information out there that I could have to back that up, I'd feel a lot better than just pulling that number out of a square footage hat. Um,
Paul, over the years, the only thing that I really remember being talked about for Harvey Wheeler was, boy, it would be nice to have those 4 classrooms that Carousel is using. So that additional space would be helpful, but I don't really, I think doubling it is a very aggressive or conservative, I guess, whichever way you're looking at it, number. I think that might be overstating the Harvey Wheeler need.
yeah,
What
it
about
might be.
Carousel though? What about Carousel? Do we have any insight into what Carousel could use?
Lee looks like she's shaking her head.
Who?
Lee,
Shaking her head.
yeah,
She,
yes, she's
she
saying
does,
yes.
she does know. You do know. Okay, great.
Okay, go
I
ahead.
think she wants to speak. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Great. I just put in the chat. I did fill out a specific form for this to answer this question in terms of needs for Carousel if they were moved to anywhere. I filled it out. I believe it went to Shannon, but I can look for it again, and I'll be happy to share it with Carrie, and she can share it with you if that's appropriate, Carrie. It did go in. It went in about a month ago, I think.
Okay, and there's a high probability that I missed it or had it, and there's so many things flying around. So,
I guess, yeah, and that's okay. And I understand. I guess what I would say is what was shocking to me as I filled out the form, just anecdotally, is the amount of space needed between each kid, between each seat, between each. There's so many legal EEC requirements that it was, pretty surprising to me. But anyway, I sent it forward. You'll have it again. I'll try to find it. Thank you.
And Paul, we had talked a little bit, Lee, this is probably pertinent to you, is, integrated preschool has a bunch of classrooms and comes under the same umbrella of EEC. And so the outdoor space, like I was advocating for 2 outdoor spaces, one for integrated preschool and one for carousel, because of the amount of classrooms involved, sharing one space would not work. Would you agree with that? Okay. Because that's, I mean, when Concord Children's Center was over at Ripley, there were 2 playgrounds also. So I just assumed that we would need at least 2 outdoor spaces. Okay.
well, it's an interesting thing because Mary, I don't think you have outdoor playground spaces in your model.
Well, I was only looking at the cost of renovating the interior building. You're right. I did
Right.
not
Because
look.
it's a requirement for both programs. It's EEC, there's no choice. It's a mandate. And the only cost that I can give you that might be helpful is the renovation of the playscape over at Ripley. No, it wasn't the playscape. It was a fully accessible playground. We know what the Thoreau School has
Yeah.
been. So it's about $300,000 a playground. That's the only thing I can really give you for a proper number.
That's helpful.
That's about right. I've looked into it recently.
Okay, good.
And
Very good.
the number you gave me for outdoor space was 7,500 square feet. And so you're saying we're gonna need 15,000 square feet for playground?
Yes.
Okay. We'll need to look at we'll need to look at the new Muni space. Because I took a look at it. We'd lose a bunch of parking, but I mean there's space there. But so
Okay, so $300,000 per, right? As a
Per
rough
playground.
number. Okay, so that's
Yep.
600,000 at each space. Good, good. I can
Now,
add.
and I guess what I would say is if it's going in a parking lot space, you're obviously going to have to rip up the asphalt and bring in some fill, and that might escalate the cost a little bit.
okay, well, that's another uncertainty we can acknowledge and at least take a little bit of uncertainty off of that piece.
Mhm.
No, Lee, thank you. Very important. I wanted to confirm that. So my estimation of just taking all of Harvey Wheeler and doubling it may not be conservative after all. Carrie, it may be actually reasonable. I don't know, but I'll find those numbers, Lee, one way or another. And Carrie, if you can help me with that. So I want to make sure that number that we're using is for all of Harvey Wheeler, the two pieces of that.
I just found it and sent it over. I'm sorry. It's
Okay.
unmuted.
Okay.
Good.
That's good meeting. Anything else that's consistent with the agenda we can talk about?
We're good.
Okay.
Great. Thank
Uh,
you.
I think we are adjourned and I'll see some of you in a couple of hours.